me Z and T, cause I'm the best in the game. I got the fame, the style that isn't lame.
Hey, is there a cassette tape anywhere?
I sure do. This cassette is the best, I can attest. Best cassette in the east to the west. Yeah, I ain't a rapper. This cassette's dapper. I'm no capper.
Okay, do you mind if I take that off your hands?
Yeah, sure.
Alright, thank you.
No problem, bro.
And this is this week's Closet Classics.
Hi, I'm Dave Luther, and we're here on the campus of Burlington High School, and we'll be doing one of our regular nature walks. This is the end of the summer, beginning of the fall, so we'll be looking at a lot of the flowering plants, herbaceous plants, weeds, wildflowers, and identifying just some of them here on the campus. Whenever possible, we'll be referring to two of the books that have been written by him, by David Thoreau. One of them right here is Wild Fruits, which refers to some of the 900 plants that Thoreau identified and drew, and many of them are in the collections at Harvard University to this day. Same plants you'll see in Burlington or Concord, the local eastern Massachusetts area. They could be in Wild Fruits. They could also be listed and depicted in Faith in a Seed, another book on plants. Thoreau was quite a local field biologist, ecologist, and the same things he saw, you'll see. And here are two of our Burlington science teachers who can introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Wendy Pavlicek. I'm the elementary natural science specialist here at the Burlington Science Center.
And I'm Jill McNary, the AP Environmental Science teacher here at the high school.
And one of the first plants that we'll be looking at today is right here. It's pokeweed. Some people say it's a weed, some people say it's a wildflower, and the science teachers often use this as a sample in their classes. What's one of the most common questions that the students ask?
With these berries here that are on the end, are they poisonous?
Okay, I've heard the students ask that too. They are poisonous, but they'd only make you sick. You probably get stomach cramps. I mean, so we don't have to worry too much about them.
I have a second question.
Okay.
Is it normally always have this red stem?
Late in the season, the more stem it has, yeah, the redder that stem is. Absolutely. It almost is the color of rhubarb.
Yes.
What are some other common questions?
Back to the berries. Can these berries be used for dye?
I think so. As a matter of fact, I know so. And actually, if you squeeze them, you can see what a powerful dye that would be. I mean, just imagine getting it on somebody's white shirt.
Oh, yes.
Which we won't do now. Well, we could do.
And next we have some grape leaves. These are a great botanical sample. You see them growing everywhere around here.
What kind of grape leaf is that?
These are just common fox grapes, which is, they grow all over Burlington.
Are they called fox grapes because fox like to eat grapes?
You know, that has something to do with the common name because I think it links with one of Aesop's fables about the fox and the grapes.
Oh, cool.
It's also a very good sample because it not just only shows this leaf, but then there's these modified leaves right up here, the tendrils that wrap around and really hang on pretty well.
What causes the tendrils to grow?
Well, they modified, that's such a good question. It's a modified leaf, and they grow according to a thigmotropism. They'll wrap around something because of touch, and then they may also wrap around because they're following the light. So there's two ways to define how a tendril wraps around and hangs onto something.
Touch or light?
Yeah. It's a great piece of physics in biology.
Some of my elementary students always ask me, what's that big feathery plant that you find growing all over the forest? What is that?
Well, most people would guess it's a fern, and it's in that family, but it's in a big group that's part of the fern family. This is one of the spleenworts, which is kind of a curious name. Most people know fern, most people don't know spleenwort.
Students always say that they never see flowers growing off of these, so how does this type of plant reproduce?
It's a great example of reproduction without flowers. There'll be spores on the back. There aren't any on this one right now, but they're called fruit dots or sori. And each one of the little dots on the back here can produce 10,000 spores to possibly make lots more fern plants. This plant is also an excellent example in art class along with science class. It's often a subject for maybe black and white pencil drawings. It's just because the geometry is so wonderful. We're in the wetlands right by Burlington High School, and there's just all sorts of flora to be found here. And while you're looking for the flora, you may be going into the wetlands and see something like this abandoned bird's nest right here, which shows the geometry that was involved for the bird making that nest. But we're really on our way to the cattails. Let's take an even closer look at one of these cattails. I'm going to bring it right over. Some people say it reminds them of cotton candy. And the number of seeds that are possible from here are in the tens of thousands.
One of the things we do with our kindergarten teachers is we dip them in, the ones that aren't opened up, the ones that are just brown, and we dip them in polyurethane, and you can preserve them forever.
That's a classic idea. That's great.
Cool.
Are cattails important in pollution control?
Oh yeah, excellent concerning water pollution. The root system of this, it just helps clean up everything. That's why wetlands are so important. Now, many of these native plants that we're talking about today were all researched by Henry David Thoreau, probably New England's first ecologist. But a plant that Thoreau didn't mention, that I have to point out, is what we call an invasive now. This is commonly known as Oriental bittersweet, and it's all wrapped. It's a vine that wraps around other plants. It's not from this area, although it originally is from a place at the same latitude. People sometimes like to make wreaths out of it, and it has these little yellow, sort of like apples, they're not really berries, on it. And this is an invasive vine. It wraps around other things, it can kill other things. Birds eat these and drop the seeds everywhere in town. And I don't think we're going to be able to wipe it out, but it should stay under control. Sometimes the wreaths that people will make out of it will have the yellow berries, and later in the season they turn red, so there may be two colors on it. Anyway, it's Oriental bittersweet, and it's an invasive, and it's pretty dangerous in the garden. Here's one of the plants that Henry David Thoreau mentions in his book. I think it's Faith in a Seed, and it's milkweed. And as you can see, Jill can squeeze some of the white latex liquid right out of that plant. But while she's doing that, another curious thing that you can do is, break open the pod and see how wonderfully packed all those seeds are.
Soft.
And soft, it looks like silk, and then each one has such an ability to float totally airborne. As they dry out, it really opens up, and it's just packed in there beautifully. It's another example of good physics in biology, in botany. Yes, so many of these plants have always been here and written up so well by Thoreau.
You can really use Thoreau's books just like a field guide.
Oh, you can. And he has so many botanical samples in these books that he saw more than 100 years ago, and the students in Burlington or Concord or Eastern Massachusetts can see right now. Same thing. It's a nice connection with the past.
Question I commonly get though about Thoreau is that his books can be sometimes difficult to read.
Ah, yeah, some people think so, except these books, they just turn to the sections that are about the plant they might be looking at, and they do it one thing at a time.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Oh, here's another one of the plants mentioned by Thoreau that's pretty familiar to most people. It's goldenrod, and this is one of the 3 varieties that's likely to be found here in Eastern Massachusetts, meaning on Burlington campus, right over in Concord by Walden Pond you could find this. And you can see why it would be called goldenrod. This is right here, nice and yellow at this time in the season. And it's kind of interesting to look up the references and the things that Thoreau said.
Dr. Dave,
Yes.
is that Queen Anne's lace behind you?
Oh, sure. And sometimes people don't recognize this right away because late in the season, it's finally in the seed stage. You know, it's not white, it's all brown here, and you could take it and break off a piece here and see how filled with seeds it would be. You know, they just fall right out of there, lots and lots of seeds. And this is a relative of the carrot, and if we could find a young green one that still had the white flowers on it, you could easily snap the stem and smell carrots.
Let's go do that.
Okay, here's that Queen Anne's lace that we talked about. And if we just grab one of these little fresh pieces and pull it up, and then if you just snap it, notice my hands are still purple from the pokeweed, and you just snap that, and I give it to either one of you, you can see that there's no doubt about it. Yeah, just like...
That's why it's called wild carrot.
It's also called wild carrot, yeah.
Can you eat this since it's called carrot? A wild carrot?
Well, animals do, but you know, the nice store-bought orange carrots are a lot easier to digest. But yeah, sure. Okay, here's another one of the wildflowers that I mentioned. The aster, and of course the word aster actually means star. So you can see the little starburst shape on the flower. And around here we usually get New England aster.
I noticed a lot of insects flying around it.
Oh, well, this is just ripe for the honeybees collecting pollen. Fall is such a good season for them.
Is this a plant that's commonly mistaken for poison ivy?
Yeah, it sure is, because that's Virginia creeper, and it's got leaves in bunches of 5 leaflets as opposed to 3 like on the poison ivy.
Oh, it has the pointy edges too.
Yeah, and I meet a lot of students or adults that tell me they don't get poison ivy, and I ask them what they've been touching to show me, and they show me this, and the answer is, okay, I see now. I know why you didn't get poison ivy from touching this, because...
It's not poison ivy.
No, it's Virginia creeper. Although you can see the color right now in the fall. That's the same.
It's beautiful.
And it's the same color as some poison ivy now. Okay, here's a local plant found in Eastern Massachusetts, Burlington, Concord, this area. And it's not as beautiful right now to some people as it usually is. This is Joe Pyeweed, which is an odd name for a wildflower, but it's Joe-Pye-weed, Joe Pyeweed. And now it's no longer bright purple, the flowers. It's in the seed stage, and all of these, of course, are ready to fall off and start this plant again for the spring. Joe Pye was an herbalist, almost like a medicine man in early New England, and I think he thought he could had a possible cure or treatment for typhoid. And that's how got the name after the person. Joe Pye was a local fellow who thought he could find some herbal cures with this. Is this what you were talking about, what they call crown vetch down in Pennsylvania?
Oh yeah, that grows everywhere.
Yeah. Around here they call it purple vetch because it can have a purple flower, yeah. Is they purple down there too,
They
probably?
were purple with a little bit of white in them.
Yeah.
The flower.
And again, we talked about Queen Anne's lace and carrots. This plant's close relative of pea plants. You know, garden peas.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. And I guess the cows eat it?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, here's a burdock, or murdock, some people might call it. But locally, the students just like to call them sticky burrs. Once they ripen, this is what sticks on your clothing. And everyone, I think, knows the story that this is, they say, well, it's true. This is how Velcro was invented. Just having a fastener where the sticky burrs stick to each other, just like they can stick to your clothes, and you can undo it and do it again. It's a nice example of copying a good idea from nature.
Hey, one of my elementary students from Pine Glen actually questioned me today about this specific plant. What is it?
It's a good plant to look at, a nice weed or wildflower, and it's got a good story. If you go in real close, well, first you feel the leaves are all fuzzy, and then you get in real close and we can pick one of the leaves, and the students like to do this because if you pick that leaf and feel it and move it around, it's called lamb's ear. Yeah, like the ear of a lamb. And it's a biennial plant. It grows 2 years until it makes seeds, and in the second year it's completely different. It's called mullein, really, and it makes a tall spike with yellow flowers and lots of seeds, of course.
And it makes me sneeze.
It probably could make you sneeze. It's pretty harmless. Here's a little lamb's ear.
A little,
Yeah,
little and big
yeah,
hands.
little lamb's ears, but they don't eat ivy. Here's another plant that Thoreau wrote about, and you can find it in Burlington now. It's poison ivy, and it's right back here, and it's sort of almost in a shrub stage there. It's not a vine there, it's just a shrub. And it can creep right out onto the lawn and get close to us here, and it's in one of its fall colors. Red is one of its fall colors.
So it's not always red.
It's not always red, and we'll probably find some more today that could be orange or yellow or maybe still green.
Wow, look over there. Look at the poison ivy going all the way up the tree.
That's not the tree. That's the poison ivy coming out here from the vine that's on the tree. And it's in its orange stage now in the fall. People could be walking right underneath this and think, well, that's not poison ivy. And if we go in close here, we can see on the base of the tree, the trunk of the tree, you can just see how thick, probably 3 inches in diameter, that those vines are, and you can see how many years probably that poison ivy has been on this tree right here at Burlington High School, right on the walkway to the football field.
We have more poison ivy here, but as you can see, this time it's not red, but it's in that yellowish orange color.
Sure, and once again, it looks like it's just part of the tree. It looks like it's another type of tree leaf, but it isn't. It's more poison ivy still here on the trail. Well, this is the end of this segment, and it's the end, all right, but it's really just a beginning because we've just scratched the surface. There's so much more to see here, and we'll be taking another walk next season.
Excellent.
In the winter, we'll see what this looks like.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
Oh
you.
yeah.
Are you aware that Burlington Cable Access Television, the same station that has been bringing you the best in community-based television programming, is just a mouse click away on the World Wide Web? Come visit us at www.bcattv.org, where you will find useful information such as our programming, how to contact us, maybe even find some snapshots of your friends and neighbors from one of the community events. That's www.bcattv.org.